Hey, Splyce fans, thanks for sitting down with me again. I want to talk to you a bit about our LCS team, bringing Peter aboard as our head coach and what this means for LCS, for Splyce. I know there's lots of questions. I got a lot of good conversation on Reddit as well as Twitter about this. I got a lot of people messaging me, a lot of excitement because Peter is an awesome coach, and I think we're really excited to have him, and I think you guys are too. So it's a big kind of watershed moment for us in that we haven't had such a clear-cut leader to start the season who's brand new since Yamato took over in 2016. Obviously, because coming in 2017, we had Yamato still. We made a change mid-year, so it wasn't really Jeevis's team. He was kind of taking over mid-year. We obviously had Crepo come in at one point, but this is the, I guess you'll call 2.0 Splyce EULCS. We have a brand new leader, and we're really kind of kicking things off again for the first time. So I wanted to cover, number one, why Peter, right? What made me decide that we should bring him in? I don't mean just me. I mean, collectively, Kyle, our general manager, I mean, Grant, operations manager in Europe. And I really mean like us looking at this as a, who do we want leading League of Legends for us at Splyce? It's one of our top divisions. It's really important. And we spent a lot of time thinking about this. So I made 5 points, 5 kind of main points of like, what was it that really mattered to me? So number one was leadership. So when I look at Peter and his abilities, there are kind of two traditional coach types in esports. One is what we call the pick ban specialist. So you show up and you're like, pick that, don't pick that, etc. But they don't necessarily have the relatability factor. They don't have the ability to speak to players or help them when they're maybe young 16, 17-year-old kids, right? And they need that ability to be guided in their journey of being a pro player. And on the other side, you have these performance coaches. Weldon is obviously one of the most famous. You have Misfits, obviously, brought in their sports psychologist, performance coach, whatever word you want to use, which is a very big part of their success. They say, I don't know him personally, but it's something they point to as that helped us a lot. And rarely you find these kind of coaches that bring a bit of both. And I think Peter really has a good melding of both of those skill sets. So now on the one side, he is exceptionally skilled in the game. If you follow any of his content, you'll see that he's talking about why things worked or didn't work in Worlds for other teams, and he really understands it on a level that very few people do. But at the same time, he has this traditional sports experience. He has worked in numerous championship caliber teams across different regions. And that's really allowed him to build up this ability to talk to players, to interact with players, to see what it's like going from being a rookie into these championship teams. We did it at hyper speed in 2016, obviously. We brought in these 5 players and boom, we were at Worlds 8 months later. That's not always the case, right? So as I look at somebody who I want to be here for many years, I want to see somebody that can nurture that young talent. Hopefully when we eventually have academy talent, even is able to take maybe someone even younger that's 15 or 16 years old and help them over the long term be a part of our organization. The second is philosophical, so philosophy. So I see a very clear alignment between myself, Kyle, Grant, those of us in the leadership of the performance side at Splyce, and Peter, in that winning is not the end goal in and of itself. So if you take the New York Yankees approach, the Lakers, 2016 Immortals, any of these teams that have in sports or esports taken and said, we're going to mash together just really good players and we're going to win right now. And that's what's important is a championship right now. And sometimes it works. Miami Heat, right? They won some championships. And sometimes it doesn't. We used Immortals as an example, or the Lakers again as an example where it didn't result in a championship. But to me, that's also mortgaging the kind of longer term ability to have players who last the test of time, who are build brands with you, the Bjergsons of the world, for brands like TSM, for example. And to also, one of our core values is that we will never sacrifice the opportunity for multiple long-term championships just to win one right now. The long term is what matters, and it's not worth it to us to say we have to win now, but we might be sacrificing more championships down the road. Okay. Number 3 is work ethic. This is an easy one for me. Peter's a workhorse. If you look at what he does out there and breaking down game film, even the people who came to me afterwards who made the decision were like, this is a guy who I've seen how he outworks everyone out there. And I've kind of always prided myself on the fact that I'm one of those people. That's how, despite having less funding, less of those resources than some of the bigger VC teams, we've had a lot of that same or more success in a lot of cases. And part of that has just been down to work ethic. And I believe work ethic is very hard to teach. It's one of those kind of few core things that you want people to come in with that. He's definitely got it. Number 4 is humility. Peter is not out there going, where is the biggest payday for the biggest brand so I can be huge and that's what I want to do. And he kind of showed that even before when he went to Brazil, where you have a guy who's just like excellent at League of Legends who said, here's this kind of burgeoning scene in Brazil. What if I could go down there and help them kind of break through and help them grow as a community, grow as a scene, because it's better for the world stage, it's better for fans, and then really accomplish some of that. Most coaches would have been like LCS or nothing. That's the top level. I can't do it. And I think that that's really telling about kind of the personality he has and team before self type of thing, which is really important here. And then 5, and simply put, passion, truly loving the game. Peter's the guy who's watching game film every single day when he wasn't even signed to a team. He's watching all of Worlds and breaking it down and analyzing because he has a true love of the game. And that's something that is almost like the quintessential thing across all the other ones, is you could have the best work ethic and leadership, and you could have a great philosophy and humility. But if you don't love the game and you don't love coming to work, you don't love what you do, it's not going to matter anyway. I have a great work ethic, and I worked in a manufacturing plant, and I didn't love what I did, and it showed in my work. And so I think that is it's really exciting to me. So I think he's going to be an awesome leader for us. We are already working on what the support staff's going to look like underneath him. We're looking at players and how we work with the folks we have, or other folks as well, depending on how the roster shapes up for next year. But that is really the key right now. Is we've got Peter ready to take the reins. Now, how do we build up that infrastructure beneath him to be more successful? So, speaking of infrastructure and speaking of rosters, what are the expectations for next year, right? So you come and you say, well, you guys made Worlds in 2016, and then 2017 wasn't quite what we expected, considering all the talent that came back. And I don't think it was anybody's expectation. The players, ours, the coaches that came through, somebody could say, well, we are one headbutt pulverize away from making it through playoffs and beating G2. But the other side you can say is we shouldn't have been in that position in the first place if we succeeded along the way. And there's loads of things that we can look back and learn from, which is what I love doing, is saying, where did we succeed? Where did we fail? What can we do different for next year? And I don't mean we as in the players. I mean we as an organization. There's so many things that we can go, that's something that we can do better in 2018 and beyond. It's just really important. So here are the things we're focusing on as goals for next year. Number 1, making Worlds is really important to us. So though we're looking to build a roster that can be long-term and have a lot of be part of the Splyce brand for an exceptional amount of time, we do want to target making Worlds in year 1 of this new 2.0, as we called it. Is it a big failure if we don't make Worlds, but we succeed in all of our other goals? I'll say that right off, no, because we're going to put out a bunch of goals that are challenging and almost go against each other a little bit, in that we're going to try to accomplish all of them, but I have a feeling some of them will, for example, number 2 being long-term roster, something that's going to last a long time and give us those multiple championships, may go against the ability to get to Worlds this year, and that's okay. But it doesn't mean that we aren't going to make it a goal to succeed at a high level. For us to come in and go, well, no, we're going to trust the process that the 76ers done, and that's their philosophy. I can't say anything against it. That's what they want to do. We're not going to do that, but we are going to, we're going to aim to be competitively successful while at the same time looking to build this long-term roster stability. So that means things like finding players that we think, and really some of these might be in our core roster now, because like I said, I have a lot of respect and a lot of love for all 5 of our players. I think they're all exceptionally talented. I just know that we'll be accessing all options, and it's totally possible some will be back, some won't. All of them might be, none of them might be. It's not really my decision, and that's really up to the coaching staff and the performance staff here at Splyce. So I mentioned all that because our number 2 kind of expectation for next year is to build that long-term roster. What I mean by long-term, ones that are become kind of part of the Splyce brand in the way that Bance on our Call of Duty team has, or in the way that Shotzi is on our Halo team. These kind of players who are growing up with Splyce and becoming, tied to us. And we have some of those with these young players here right now, and we want to continue to grow those. And if some of them end up filling with new players, we want to continue to grow that as well. So the point being, we don't want to sacrifice that long-term brand growth, roster stability for let's get some quick wins right now. Number 3, stronger infrastructure. So excuse me one second. What do I mean by stronger infrastructure? So number 1, last year I think we made some great strides. For those of you that don't know, we had analysts in-house, which we didn't have, on staff, which we didn't have in previous years. We had a cook making all the meals every single day, which allowed the players to be better, well-fed, not eating junk food when they felt like it, that kind of stuff, as well as taking their time more focused on the game. We had a better management staff in that they were much more well taken care of, and really had the opportunity to thrive as growing as human beings, we'll say, and becoming adults. We also did some work of things that didn't work, like bringing in a sports psychologist that didn't fit and mesh with our team, but we were taking those steps to try those things. We tried different coaches as we were trying to evolve what we could give to the players. And we also moved into a much, much nicer facility with much better actual physical attributes to it. So all that was, and I forgot to mention, we also had a physiotherapist coming and working on hand health and working on their body health for long term. That's all were big steps. Those were all really important. Now we want to take it even further. So things in 2018 you can expect, for example, is having nutrition on staff where we're not just cooking the meals, but they're built around an actual nutrition plan that helps them be physically sound and prepared for matches and practice. Also, the physical fitness side. So having that physical trainer, developing plans to help the players get much more physically in the shape that they want to be in, but also stick to it, help them keep motivated, build something custom that's for them and help them track it to completion. Number 3 is strong analyst support. So we think that we can do more in that department this year in finding whether it's assistant coaching or online analysts or in-house analysts, but to really build out that infrastructure of which Kyle and Peter and Grant are all looking at right now to figure out what is the best way to do that for us going forward. Number 4 is going to be that transition from a small unit of coach analyst to a larger, more structured day-to-day life. We had some pieces of that with the physiotherapist and some pieces of that with the sports psychologist, but I really mean a more robust schedule that incorporates many aspects of performance throughout their week and allows them to grow as athletes. So learn more about that as we get further along, and we'll obviously be tracking that in content and showing you a bit of what that is. But that's going to be a really big step where we went from step 1 to step 2 into 2017, and now from step 2 to 3 into 2018. Number 4 is much more content. So one of our points of learning is, of course, that we realized that though we got really strong in building a content division in North America, outside of our Call of Duty team, because they went to a lot of events, we were challenged doing content in Europe because we didn't have the right infrastructure out there to go and gather that content. And we didn't do nearly as much as we should have or wanted to. And we found ways to reinforce through staffing, through equipment, through better scheduling for next year that we will be creating a much larger amount of content at a very high quality. For those of you that don't know, about 6 months ago, we brought on a VP of content. He's worked in the music industry, the sports industry, makes incredible content. He's worked with so many recording artists, Jay-Z, Timbaland, Justin Timberlake, these people that you may know and love. And that kind of sets the quality bar of what we're talking about. So 2018, you can expect and hold us to an exceptionally high quality bar for the type of content we're putting out. Number 5, and probably, I guess, how this all comes together for me is how we want to engage with our fans more directly in Europe. We ran into this typical logistical challenges of a global organization where we didn't have enough physical staff in Berlin to actually engage with fans and do things like fan meetups or go out and create that experience in different countries. Like Denmark, we had a mostly Danish team, right? And we want to do a lot more of that in 2018. We're not ready to explain kind of our entire plans because there's a lot of regional based things we're looking at that will help focus in on us growing those local fan bases. However, I will say that from the physical, like in-person interaction, that's really important to us. And we want to be able to drive where fans get to interact with the players, they get to interact with the staff, they get to feel like there's an ability for them to be a Splyce fan, engaging directly. Connected to that, digital. Really important, growing things like our Discord community, growing the ability for our engagement one-on-one with fans, whether it's through things like fan tournaments, play with the pro, all these kind of cool things we've tested in 2017, but we haven't done a ton of to reinforce growing those. They're going to have a heavy focus for us in 2018. We want you as fans to go, wow, look at these awesome opportunities we have during matches, outside of matches, year round, to engage with Splyce players, Splyce staff, with the brand, to feel part of this community and with each other as fans. Like, we want to see more of this, small but vibrant community we have on our Discord, because we do need to put a lot more emphasis there, where the fans really are able to interact together. And it's so cool to see. I love watching it and popping in and seeing people like just being excited together over a big signing of a player or an awesome moment in a game or just something funny clip they saw or whatever. And it's been really great to see fans sharing their love of the team through the fan art contest and things of that nature. And you can see there's a genuine love from fans. What I want to be able to do is better support that. We're planning to expand our web development staff. We've had one guy full-time for a couple of years. We're going to be hiring some more so that we can make some really new cutting-edge ways for you guys to interact with each other, to engage with the Splyce brand. We've always been kind of doing that with our website, kind of really being at the forefront of anybody in the industry as far as teams go, but we know there's a lot more we could do there. We're also going to be integrating the content much more heavily as well, so that it's much more accessible, much more able to get feedback from you too on the stuff you love, and so we can provide more of that, and the stuff that you aren't enjoying, so we can do less of that. So that's kind of the whole wrap up for today. It gives you kind of a good look of where we are, how we got there with this process of getting a coach for our LCS team, and what's important for us in 2018 and beyond, honestly, in building LCS for the long term. We are really excited about kind of how things are moving forward and giving us some basis of security in Europe so that we can invest more, which is really exciting, and grow something you've come to know and love and care a lot about. So as always, Twitter, comments in the video, everywhere, please ask questions. Please hit me up. Call my bullshit if you don't believe something I've said. I'm happy to talk about it. You guys know that. If you're on Reddit, you tag me in a post, I'm going to come back and try and respond to you, because at the end of the day, if you guys aren't happy, we don't have fans and we don't have a business. So thanks again for watching, and hope this provides some clarity for things that you want to know more about.